In the time that it took me to start talking to you, your mind might have been racing with a variety of thoughts. Perhaps some of the tasks that you have to do, perhaps some of the mistakes from yesterday, and perhaps that lingering feeling that no matter what, it's just not good enough. And if you're like any of my clients, these aren't just thoughts, these aren't just worries, these aren't just doubts. They are self-criticisms, and they often leave you feeling just not good enough, and even worse, about yourself as they make their merry way around you. My mornings used to start off just like that. Imagine this, 4 a.m., pitch dark outside, and the world is completely still. I would do my very best to slide out of my bed and tiptoe across the room, being ever so careful not to wake my husband. And by the time that I would get downstairs, by the time that I would hit the landing, I would hear her footsteps. Oh God, she's awake already. She, of course, being none other than my inner critic, who by the sound of her footsteps was fresh off her night shift duty and ready for her full day of screaming like the drill sergeant she was in my ear. Her rants often went like this. You are so stupid. Why did you say that yesterday? How could you possibly do that? You are so pathetic. And as I was changing into my gym clothes, as I was tying my shoes, all I could think was, it's 4 a.m. Do you really have to be here right now? To which she would reply, yes, you are that pathetic. By that time, I was carrying so much heaviness of sadness and shame that I was completely dreading the entire day because I knew what I was up against. My own inner critic screaming all day long. Perhaps you can relate to this. Maybe some of you, maybe more than some of you. Those unwanted thoughts, that voice that was uninvited, reminding you of every single error that you made since the early 2000s, all before you've had your morning coffee. For years, I searched for answers to my many questions. I purchased as many self-help books and read them as I could possibly get my hands on. I spent more hours on YouTube watching video after video to the point that I could have earned my PhD in personal growth and development. And I would listen to experts share their insights, their stories, their tips. And the entire time, with all that energy invested, something just wasn't clicking. I knew it. I felt it. Something just was missing. When I realized this, I started to notice a variety of things that were going on. What's happening? Why can't I figure this out? That's all I could think about. And finally, what I started to notice was a common theme. That they would all share, just be more positive. Think a happy thought. And the reason I would get so frustrated is because outwardly I was happy. Outwardly I was positive. People would tell me all the time, you're such a helpful, supportive colleague. Thank you so much for being here. And I really was genuinely supportive and genuinely positive for them. I would hear it all the time. And all I could think was, outwardly, yes, this is easy for me to be positive. But inside was a completely different story. Now, if this is the scope of what I would love to share with you today, we have time for about this much. That being said, my promise to you is this. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you a protocol that I created from over the last 15 years, and I have also refined over the last 15 years, on how you can shift your internal negative dialogue anywhere, anytime. This is a protocol that I teach all of my clients and all of my students. This is a protocol that will allow you to finally take back freedom and take back control. This protocol is for you if, number one, you've ever struggled with an inner critic. Number two, if you've ever felt personally attacked by your own thoughts. And number three, if you know somebody who has struggled with an inner critic, because you might be able to share it with them. I get it. I've tried the tips, I've tried the tricks, I've tried the hacks, and when the going got tough, it just didn't stick. This protocol is designed very specifically for in those moments of overwhelm, for when your inner critic is at its absolute worst, and for when you are stressed and all you want is something that works. Because the truth is, we really do have the ability to control our inner dialogue. And when you understand how simple it is to do, you will notice a completely new sense of freedom and control. Now let's rewind a little bit. Many years ago, when I first started searching for answers to my questions, I found myself, perhaps like some of you, standing in the self-help aisle at my local bookstore. Now for me, the term self-help comes with such a negative undertone. It's almost as if there should be a label of, you're broken, you better fix yourself fast. But to me, I've actually been working on a rebrand of the entire industry. I think it should be called Help Yourself. Help yourself, as if welcome to the world's greatest buffet. Help yourself. We have wisdom, we have tools, we have practices of all sorts. To the point that you get to experiment, you get to go up, you get to try things, take them back, see if they resonate with you, see if it's for you, and if not, no problem, put it on the side. And if so, great, go up and explore more. Help yourself, because we truly have the ability to find things that work for us. Now, as a board-certified speech-language pathologist and mindset change specialist, to me, this is the greatest skill of all time. Being able to know how you communicate with yourself, being able to know how you talk to yourself. What are your thoughts? What are you noticing? Having this conversation, this relationship, is the most important conversation you will ever have. Well, why is that? You are with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, 366 on a leap year. You are with you. So imagine it like this. You are the chef in your kitchen. If you find yourself serving yourself criticism, serving yourself judgment, serving yourself pain and hurt, guess what you're experiencing at the buffet at life? Negative experiences. Now when you start serving yourself supportive thoughts, helpful thoughts, encouraging thoughts, guess what you're experiencing at the buffet of life? Positive experiences. So understanding that we truly have control over that inner dialogue, it's important to know how you can shift it, how you can quite literally go from shameful to supportive, how you quite literally can go from hurtful to helpful is so important. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that right now. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the SHIFT protocol. We have 5 fingers. We have a 5-letter word, SHIFT, S-H-I-F-T, and we have 5 simple, straightforward steps. The first letter, S. S stands for spot. We want to start to raise our awareness of the thoughts that we're thinking. If we're walking around going, oh, I have to go to the store, oh man, I gotta send that email, oh, I don't want to do that, I'm so not good at that, I have to apply to that job, boom, you found it. You spotted the thought. I'm not good enough for that. Great, step 1. Step 2, H, we want to hear it. This is incredibly important. When you notice these critical thoughts, these negative thoughts, these hurtful thoughts, whose voice is it? Whose voice is it? Is it your voice? Or is it an echo of somebody else's voice? Sometimes as we're going throughout life, we pick up other people's words and we take them on as our own. Sometimes we get them from people that love us, that are around us. Sometimes we get them from society. Whose voice is it? Step number 3, told you. Investigate its impact. I. Notice the thought, hear it, and what you want to do is bring it out in front of you. It'll help release the emotional charge. Investigate its impact. What are you noticing about the thought? How is it hurting you? How is it helping you? When we think these thoughts, a lot of the time, if we're thinking, I'm not good enough, Or I shouldn't speak up at a meeting. And you're thinking, how is that helping me, Lenora? That's really not a good thought. It's helping you. It's your mission to find out, what is it helping you do? It's protecting you. What is it protecting you from? Well, if I never have to speak up, I never have to be possibly judged for speaking up. But if I don't speak up, what am I not saying? F, frame it. You want to frame this thought in a different perspective. How else might I look at this thought? What else might I understand about this thought? If needed, if you have a loved one or somebody you trust deeply, in your mind, bring them in. What might they say about this thought? Frame it in a different light. T, trade it in. Trade it in for another thought. If we're thinking, I'm not good enough, or I'm going to fail at everything, let's look at that thought. So we spotted it, we heard it, it's in our voice, we're investigating its impact on how it's holding us back, we're framing it in a different way, and if I'm failing at everything, okay, well, let's look at this. Am I failing at everything? Nope. Great, I get to trade it in. I get to trade it in for a more helpful thought. I now have already found evidence, while I was framing it, of all the reasons why I'm not failing at everything. I've certainly succeeded at things. So perhaps, maybe, I'm not failing. Maybe I'm learning something. Maybe progress might be slow, but maybe I'm learning something. Understanding that this is not rose-colored glasses. Understanding this is not popping a sticker on it and saying, no, it doesn't exist. What you are doing is you are systematically noticing your thoughts and shifting them with the intention for them to be a supportive thought. Every single time that you do, recognize you are serving yourself. You are helping yourself at the buffet of life. Mel Robbins, in her TEDx, at precisely minute 10 and 19 seconds, thank you, YouTube timestamp, she says this: no one's coming. No one's coming to push you. What I'd like to add to that is no one is coming to shift your inner dialogue either. And that's really a great thing, because it truly is between you and you. You have the right, you have the opportunity to shift your inner dialogue anywhere, anytime. This protocol is strategically placed on your hand to give you back control. So every time you notice those negative thoughts, every time you notice that inner critic, spot it, hear it, investigate its impact, frame it in a different way, and trade it in for something that is more helpful. Understanding you're the one eating at the buffet of life. What do you want to experience? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for allowing this experience, this talk, to be on your plate. Enjoy your buffet. Thank you.